Welcome to English Literature. Today's poem, The Road Not Taken by Robert Lee Frost. Poet Robert Lee Frost. Robert Lee Frost was an American poet known for his realistic depictions of rural life and his command of English colloquial speech. Frost frequently wrote about settings from rural life in New England and in the early 20th century, using them to examine complex social and philosophical themes. He was born on 26th of March 1874, San Francisco, California, USA. He died on 29th of January 1963, Boston, Massachusetts, USA. He was influenced by William Wordsworth and John Keats. He had children Leslie, Carol, Marjorie, Eliot, Eleanor, and Irma. He was educated from the Harvard University, Lawrence High School, Dartmouth College. His notable works, The Road Not Taken, Mending Wall, Stopping by the Woods on a Snowy Evening, The Gift Outright, Birches, Home Burial. Now, Home Burial is one of Robert Frost's longest poems. He got many awards. He won many awards for his writing, like he won 4 Pulitzer Prizes for poetry, one in 1924, 1931, 1937, and in the year 1943 for his collections New Hampshire, Collected Poems, A Further Range, and A Witness Tree, respectively. He also got the United States Poet Laureate in 1958, the Bollingen Prize in the year 1963. Some famous quotes of Robert Frost. He has seen a number of things. These are popular ones. Half the world is composed of people who have something to say and can't, and the other half who have nothing to say and keep on saying it. I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Never be bullied into silence. Never allow yourself to be made a victim. Accept no one's definition of your life. Define yourself. In 3 words, I can sum up everything I have learned about life. It goes on. Frost spent the years 1912 to 1915 in England, where among his acquaintances was the writer Edward Thomas. Thomas and Frost became close friends and took many walks together. One day, as they were walking together, they came across 2 roads. Thomas was indecisive about which road to take, and in retrospect often lamented that they should have taken the other one. After Frost returned to New Hampshire in 1915, he sent Thomas an advance copy of The Road Not Taken. Thomas took the poem seriously and personally, and it may have been significant in his decision to enlist in World War I. Thomas was killed 2 years later in the Battle of Arras. So think of it, a poem could influence a person so much. Thomas was such influence that he joined in the World War I. Now let's go to the introduction to the poem. The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost was the first poem published in August 1915 of the Atlantic Monthly. It was later included as the opening poem in the 1916 collection Mountain Interval. So, by Robert Lee Frost, the poem was first published in the August 1915 issue of the Atlantic Monthly. It was later included as the opening poem in his 1916 collection Mountain Interval. Let's have the poem. The Road Not Taken by Robert Lee Frost. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveller, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that the passing there had worn them really about the same, and both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I marked the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less travelled by, and that has made all the difference. Now let's see the next with explanation. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveller long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. In this stanza, you see, the poet says, two roads diverged. So it's a yellow wood symbolizing the autumn season. There are two roads and they are diverted, that is separated into two ways. There's a road going and forked into two ways. And he's standing there in the intersection thinking, how can he travel both the roads? He says, sorry I could not travel both. Logically, how can one person choose two different ways at the same time? And be one traveller long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. The picture resembles the things that is said in this stanza. Because he was one, he was in a dilemma which place to go towards, either the first one or the second. And he stood there and went on looking as far as he could, because after that there were bushes and the roads got hidden. The poem continues, then took the other as just as fair, which means both the roads looked the same, and having perhaps the better claim because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that the passing there had worn them really about the same. So he stood there and he chose one, because you have to take one. And the reason for choosing is he had ideas. He said it was grassy, so it was less trodden by people. Not many people have walked through that road, so he thought, why not take that and keep the other which looked the same for another day. He continues to say, and both that morning equally lay, in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I marked the first one for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. But while taking a decision, he knows that okay, let me go towards this way, and the next path I will take another day. While he chose another way, he was sure in his mind that he may not return, because one way leads on to other ways. And he continues, I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less travelled by, and that has made all the difference. He says, no doubt I have a choice today, and my choice will fix my destiny. So maybe today the choice I make, I shall be narrating this or recollecting the signs, and after retrospecting I will think, okay, today I am taking this road, and after a long time, ages and ages, that is from today onwards, when I am grown old, maybe I'll look back and think, I am here in this position because of the road taken by me. That is, my choice had brought me to my destiny. This was the poem about choices in a person's life. The poem covers the theme of choice and its impact on one's life's journey. It reflects on the human experience of decision making and the lingering questions about what might have been had a different choice been made. It touches the idea that choices, even seemingly small ones, can have significant and lasting consequences. It's about making the right decision at the right time. Choices are very important in a person's life. Way leads on to way. You decide something and your future is laid on that path. It will show the destiny. The poem tells you about choices. The right decision in the right time brings you the consequences. Could be right or wrong, depends on the choice that you make in life. Let's see some of the literary devices used in the poem The Road Not Taken. First we have alliteration, which is the repetition of a consonant sound. Wanted where, the W sound gets repeated when we say wanted where, the W sound were gets repeated because it was grassy and wanted where, W. First for, I kept the first for another day, the F sound gets repeated here. Though that, the TH sound gets repeated. Anaphora, in this case you have the word and that is repeated in the beginning of line number 2, 3 and 4 of the first stanza. Anaphora is nothing but where a word or a phrase gets repeated in the beginning of consecutive lines. Here as you can see, first stanza, second line, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveler long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, and all the three places you have the first position taken by the word and, that is anaphora. You have repetition here in this poem when you say the word ages, which is used more than once. Now repetition and anaphora, there's a difference. Anaphora, you have a word or a phrase which is used in the first or the beginning of each line, or could be one or more line, but at the beginning consecutively. Whereas repetition, you can have it in any place in the poem. It should just be used more than once. For example, when you say ages, last stanza, second line, somewhere ages and ages, let's see, ages used twice. Again the line, the words two roads diverged in a wood, this phrase is used more than once. Where first stanza, the first line, again last stanza, the fourth line, you can see, last stanza, the third line. So first and last stanza, this line gets repeated, two roads diverged in a wood, and again it's an example of repetition. See, it is not the beginning of consecutive lines. It could be anywhere in the poem, any stanza. Now we have irony. Irony is nothing but a contradiction. In this poem you have verbal irony, contrast between what is said and what is meant. The speaker's statement in the final line, and that has made all the difference, is ironic, as earlier he had stated that the paths were equally worn, they were really the same, and that he plans to tell the story with a sigh. It suggests he might be embellishing the truth or be expressing regret. You have symbolism. This poem has a number of symbolic uses. For example, two roads are used to symbolize two or more choices in a person's life. You have yellow woods, which represent the autumn season or suggesting a time of change, and also the complexities of a person's life. You have personification, where lifeless things or inanimate objects are given human characteristics. The most prominent example of personification is the road. The road is personified when it is said, and wanted where. The road is described as wanting something, a human action, suggesting it desires to be travelled. So this was all about personification. We have imagery, the visual description, when the poet said it was grassy and wanted where, so you can feel it with one of your senses that what the road looked like. We have onomatopoeia. In this poem, explicitly you don't have any onomatopoeia example because it is the formation of a word from the sound associated. Still, the word SIGH, sigh, could be taken as an example of onomatopoeia. We have metaphor. It is the direct comparison. In this poem, roads are compared with the choices we make in life. So that is an example of metaphor. You have simile, that is indirect comparison, stating what one is like the other. In this we have as just as fair, so it shows how the poet has linked the road less taken to the easy way through life. So this is the example of simile, where you use, while comparing, you use the words like or as. If I say you are like a rose, so your beauty is like that of a rose. Both metaphor and simile are modes of comparison. We have assonance here, which is the repetition of a vowel sound with the nearby words. It also is used to create a musical quality or rhythm. In this poem, you have O sound, which gets repeated in a number of examples or sentences. For example, roads, woods, and sorry I could not travel both. See, the O sound gets used again and again. The rhyming scheme we have already covered. It is A, B, A, A, B. All about the poem The Road Not Taken. Any other doubts? You can just leave in the comment section. Thank you.